Well, hold on, Sephora. Why are you out here selling demonic facial spray like it's a trend? Sephora is selling mommy water barrier strengthening face mist. And I gotta talk about it, okay? Because this is not of God, right? So if you don't know who mommy water is, let's go over what they're selling. So mommy water is venerated throughout Africa and the African diaspora as a being of great spiritual power who is associated with health, wealth, love, and good fortune. She can be beneficent or malevolent, depending on the obedience of her followers. Wow. She can shower them with good luck or drown them for insolence. Now, if that ain't demonic, I don't know what is. Anyway, this is a whole little trend. Um, this is some of the pictures that can be associated with her. Now, this is interesting because this goes way back. So, mommy meaning mother, wada meaning water. They depict her as a mermaid, okay, and this is way before the Little Mermaid, right? And that is kind of her body type. That's how they draw her. That's how they view her. So this is some of the imagery that you can find online. As you can see, she's got a little mermaid fin, all this stuff, some snakes wrapped around. Just very demonic. Look, mommy water becomes a mermaid. What is it about mermaids? This idea of hybrid fish women who live in the sea has captivated humans for thousands of years. Yada, 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 yada. So how did mommy water become a mermaid? Through the short answer is through cultural exchange. All right, anyway, this is what we need to take a look at because this is the problem, right? Let's just see.
Hear the name Mami Wata.
A mermaid, a seductress, a demon.
Let's pause right there because most of what you've been told about Mami Wata is probably wrong.
She's not a demon.
She's not the African version of a witch.
I know, she's not the devil in disguise.
Mami Wata, meaning Mother of the Waters, is one of the most powerful and widely venerated water spirits across Africa and the diaspora.
The etymology of her name can be traced to Mami Wata, brought by the Creole people of Sierra Leone. Others link it to ancient Egypt, Ma meaning truth and Uti meaning water.
But here's the thing, she's not just one figure.
Mami Wata stands for a pantheon of water deities found across the continent.
Among the Igbo, she is known as Marie or Isabella Marie, queen who lives in the waters.
In Suriname, she's Water Mama.
Among the Yoruba, there's Yemaya and Oshun.
In Cuba and Brazil, she becomes Yemaya and Oshun.
And in Haiti, she appears as La Serene or Azuli.
She doesn't belong to one culture. She belongs to many.
Pause. Whoa, wait, whoa. So she belongs to different cultures. They're saying she's not a demonic figure. She's not a demon, but she's a deity. This is the problem when you subscribe to stuff like this. Okay, so in Africa, all over Africa, this figure, Mami Wata, is heavily worshipped. So this goes way, like I said, this is before the Little Mermaid. This is way back when. So this is a spirit, right? Essentially, that they invoke through rituals, through offerings, yada, 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 right? This is where the confusion comes in because when you got people saying, no, she's not a demon, she's not nothing, no, we just worship her, we just give her things, we just have rituals. It's not of God. It's directly against God. It says multiple places in the Bible that this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And the confusion, the lack of knowledge will make people perish. This is an exact example, but let's continue.
Mami Wata pantheon includes male and female spirits, and in each region she reflects the community's values and struggles, whether it's fertility, protection, beauty, or survival.
Visually, Mami Wata is part human, part fish, sometimes serpent.
She's depicted with glowing brown skin,
sometimes serpent. Let me ask you something. In the Bible, what does a serpent usually attribute to? Okay, let's keep going.
Long flowing hair and often a mirror or a comb. The mirror reflects beauty, yes, but also self-awareness.
She embodies water's dual nature, both healing and destructive, seductive and protective, nurturing and fierce.
So, how did she end up becoming so misunderstood?
Let's unpack that.
With colonization came a shift in power.
During the era of slavery, practicing African religions openly could result in brutal punishment, even death, so rituals were performed in secret or hidden beneath Christian forms.
Laws that Jamaica's Obeah Act, still in place today, criminalized African spirituality.
This demonization didn't end with slavery.
Today, some Pentecostal and fundamental groups in Africa and the diaspora still preach against Mama Wata, calling her a spirit of lust or destruction.
But this view completely ignores her duality.
She is associated with lust. If you do some research, because this is not the first time that I've heard of this spirit, right? This deity that they worship, that people actually worship, but she is associated with lust. If I can find it on one of these articles, I will bring it up, but she is. And I think it's interesting how they said there was one point in time where they could not worship this spirit openly, right? It was against whatever law or whatever was going on back then. This was in the slavery days. So they had to do it and hide it under Christian form. So basically saying, this is of Christ. That is straight up demonic. That ain't nothing but demonic. That is completely against God. And we're going to get into some scripture, but let's continue.
Of complexity is often flattened into villainy, and it's a pattern we've seen before with figures like Eshu or Quensu.
So next time someone calls Mami Wata a demon, ask,
why are some powerful African deities so often labelled as dangerous?
And who gets to decide what's sacred and what's sinful?
If you want to learn more, we've created a Mami Wata guide, free for all our Patreon members.
It includes our original artwork, respectful language tips, historical context, and book recommendations. Everything you need to unlearn and relearn the truth about her.
Because we believe in telling our stories with care. What comes to mind?
Wow. Who gets to decide what is sacred versus what's not sacred? Who gets to decide what's truth versus what's not truth? Who gets to decide? Who gets to decide? All right. Oh God. Where do we even begin? Because I want to do this with kindness. I don't want to just... I understand that people can be confused, and I understand that history can be confusing, very confusing. And I know that there are different cultures. I understand that. But the Bible gets to decide that. The Bible gets to decide that. And the confusion comes from people and their need to worship something. As humans, we have a natural want and need to worship. And sometimes we lose faith. And when we can't see something, we can't touch something, we can't feel something, and we don't see any evidence right in front of us that stuff is working, we can start acting a little bit confused. And I think that's where stuff like this comes about. That's just a theory. Let's take a look at this real quick. This is from the same let's do this. From the same content creators, they drew some imagery.
Book about African mermaids.
Mami Wata is a name we hear a lot in African folklore and culture.
Mama Wata is actually a term for a pantheon of water deities.
Variations and manifestations of Mami Wata can be found all over the African continent, the Caribbean, and throughout the diaspora.
The name Mama Wata is thought to derive from the English word mummy or mammy, and water or mother of the waters.
These spirits are born of Nana Baluku, who is the great mother of the mountain and the head of a sub-pantheon of deities known as Voodoo.
Mama Wata deities can be both male and female, but are non-human and have never been human.
These deities are the source of earthly wisdom, human creativity, genius, divine inspiration, and sacred paths to enlightenment.
Mama Wata is more commonly depicted as an unimaginably beautiful creature,
half woman, half fish with long hair and brown skin.
This is our depiction of Mami Wata.
And if you want to hear more about African...
That's their depiction of Mami Wata. It's a beautiful drawing. They clearly have talent. I'm not knocking that at all, but it's demonic. Look, there goes that serpent again. It's all wrapped around her. Just wrapped all around. Just right in your face with it too. It's like, just, it is a beautiful picture though. All right, so back to Sephora. They are selling this product. It's by Edom. They're using some ancient, old time ingredients, and a lot of people are getting good use out of this. They're having some why can't I talk? I'm just like baffled by what we just seen. Their skin is loving it. Okay? Their skin is loving it. Let's watch a couple testimonials. Let's just see. Let's see. Let's watch this one. There's one. Let's see.
One of my launches has been this one from Edom, the Mami Wata Ultra Calming Rescue Mist. The spray on this is quite nice. I haven't seen a mister or a sprayer that is like this type of component before. Maybe if you know a different mist that has the same type of top, let me know. But it's really, really fine. Ooh, super fine. This is the type of mist that has a great balance of ingredients for things like hydrating, strengthening the skin barrier, and also helping to calm down inflamed skin. Cica and allantoin, which is always great to have in my skincare that I look for. Of course, the hydrating ingredients like glycerin, aloe, and polyglutamic acid. I've been enjoying using this as a hydrating step between other products in my skincare routines, just to fortify my skin even more and add in extra layers of hydration. So I've definitely been enjoying this. I'm surprised I haven't used more of it. I've only got like probably a third of the way through it. The way I've been wearing this thing out, I'm surprised it's not done already. But this is a fantastic new launch for sure. So if you haven't tried this yet, definitely should.
I know that's right. I'm not against taking care of your skin. I'm big on skincare actually. Love a good exfoliator, taking care of, the moisturization. I'm pro skincare than makeup. So I understand wanting to take care of your skin and wanting to just have that glow. But at what cost? Why are you just buying anything off the shelf? People will just buy anything that'll guarantee to make them look better, shine. And I get it. I understand, but you just have to, you gotta know what you're buying. You gotta know what you're sponsoring, what you're subscribing to. You really do. You really do. Because this is demonic. And it's talked about in the Bible in multiple places that we are supposed to avoid stuff like this because it invites spirits, okay, into our lives and into our families' lives and can wreak havoc on our life if we are worshiping false gods. And this is basically a false god. They're making this a god, a false god. So I just found that super interesting. So cultural impact, while rooted in ancient African traditions, her influence spread through the transatlantic slave trade, making her a figure in the Americans and Caribbean as well. She's a major subject in a variety of arts, including paintings, sculptures, films, and music, making her an iconic figure in contemporary African and diaspora culture. Modern interpretation, so some contemporary views sometimes recast Mami Wata as a demon. We highlight that word. In response to modern Pentecostal Christianity. Can you blame us? Can you blame Christians for thinking this? Yeah. And even if you can, Look at the Bible. Look at what the Bible has to say about this. But her image is also used by mainstream brands. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is. Anyway, let's finish this with some scripture because it looks like it works. It looks like people are getting some good use out of this. The before and afters are giving. I'm not saying that what's in the product isn't good for your skin, that it doesn't work. I'm just saying at what cost. I mean, it's in your face with it. You know what I mean? They're in your face with it. So this is a psalm, a song, a hymn. Psalm 96. This is New King James Version. And I think that this was really, really interesting, okay? So it's a song of praise to God coming in judgment. Let me close out this ad. It's distracting. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord all the earth. Sing to the Lord, bless his name. Proclaim the good news of his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the nations, his wonders among all peoples. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the peoples are idols. For all the gods of the peoples are idols. But the Lord made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. So the reason why I found this specific these scriptures very telling is because something that I was reading in terms of Mami Wada, one of the things that they say that they do in ritual form, they will sing to her, calling on that type of a spirit, because music is a very spiritual action. Music can be used for good or bad, depending on what you're listening to, what you're allowing in, right? It's one of the best ways to kind of open yourself up because of the instruments and the emotions that it brings about in someone. It really will open you wide up. So be careful what you're listening to. But anyway, singing was one of the main ways that they would invoke and call on the spirit, Mami Wada. And if you look in the Bible, praise, songs of worship have been used since way, way, way back to worship God, right? And so I find it interesting because, so this is supposedly written by King David, based off of biblical facts and the history and what was kind of going on around this time. That's how they determined that. But it says, for the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. So there is no denial that there are other gods, right? But follow me. But he's saying, for all the gods of the peoples are idols, meaning people are creating these false idols, creating these false gods, and calling on them, singing to them, worshiping them, praising them into their life falsely. But the Lord is the one that made the heavens. And I want to remind you, singing, spiritual. So King David, he's in a spiritual place right now. He's singing, he's worshiping, he is singing whatever is on his heart. He is just worshiping. And this is what is coming upon him. This is what the Holy Spirit is speaking through him and singing through him, right? And that's significant. That's significant because of what he said. Honor and majesty are before him. The Lord made the heavens. There's no denial that there are other lowercase gods, right? But those are the gods that people created. Those are the gods that people created. that directly go against God. It's not of God. It's demonic. It is worshiping a false doctrine, a false deity, a false God. It's called idolatry. That is one of the biggest sins. Anyway, there's a picture of the facial spray. Again, I'm not knocking self-care, but what does Sephora got going? What does Edom and Sephora got going on? Selling this like right in your face with it, just boom, just Wow. Anyway, subscribe to the channel. Please. Like the video, please. Comment. Do you agree or do you disagree? What are your thoughts on this? Have you used the product? Does it work? Please let me know. Subscribe. I will see you guys in another video.